Well, thank you very much for inviting me to this side event. I am highly honored of being given the opportunity to debate on children victims of terrorism. I will discuss the subject in relation to the region of South Asia, as the region is a well-known hub of various terrorist organizations which continuously operate and plan attack on innocent people and children. South Asia has been a frontline region as far as terrorism and extremism are concerned. Many international violent radical organizations continue to operate from locations in the subcontinent. For people and children in South Asia, terrorism is said an inevitable part of life that also impacts the politics of the region. Over the last decade, Pakistan and terrorism have become synonyms in the eyes of analysts and policymakers. As the most defenseless victims of crimes against humanity in the terrorism crisis, children have endured many sufferings in the recent years. For example, Malala, the Pakistani schoolgirl shot in the head by the Taliban in 2012 for speaking out for universal education, is living evidence that attacking children is not a new terrorist tactic. Later in 2014, the Taliban again carried out the deadly attack on education establishment in Peshawar, where thousands of students were, which featured suicide bombers and heavily armed gunmen. The same terrorist group, on another occasion, sent a child suicide bomber into a high school theater hall to detonate himself, as students watch a modern presentation. While exploiting children and using them as perpetrators of terrorist attacks, not a new terrorist tactic, the mass targeting of children, as seen in Peshawar, suggests that terrorists look for more shocking and horrible ways to grab the international spotlight. Violent extremist groups target what they perceive as the institutions of culture, and in particular, the institution of Western culture, since they believe that the process of Westernization, which violates the strict Islamic doctrines, begins at school. The atrocious death of those children has left thousands of questions for criminal justice bodies, human rights organizations, and society at large to answer. The children's killings are revolting. The perpetrators need to be captured and prosecuted, and the law enforcement mechanisms have to undergo reform. The tragedies occurred in Pakistan reflect the absolute failure of the criminal justice system and expose the cracks in the legislation framework, which in return result in the public losing faith in law enforcement. When disasters strike, the time to prepare has passed. Therefore, prevention of tragedies inhabit the necessity of dealing with their consequences. The horrendous attack, which continuously shock entire nation to the core and are condemned by each and every member of society, unravel the bigger picture, where such cases, unfortunately, are not an isolated occurrence. The gruesome terrorist activities prove the pressing necessity for improvements in legislation concerning proper mechanisms and strategies on the implementation of public protection, efficient investigatory powers, and human rights advocacy. Such amendments are imperative to ensure that violent incidents as these will be prevented. Access to justice is one such amendment. It refers to the ability of obtain a remedy for violations of rights, as put forth in international standards, including the Convention on the Rights of the Child. It applies to the civil, administrative, and criminal spheres of national jurisdictions, including customary and religious justice mechanisms, and international jurisdictions as well. There are, however, numbers of obstacles acting as barrier to the provision of access to justice for children, including lack of institutional support, a lacking of funding and inadequate legal frameworks, which compound the existing shortcomings in service provision. Systemic social inequality in Pakistan, as in other countries, is both a cause and a consequence of the violence committed against children and prevents their full enjoyment of fundamental rights. This means they are less likely to have awareness about their rights, the formal justice system, and how to access it, or have the opportunities and means to do so. There are about 80 million children and young persons under the age 18 in Pakistan, a big majority of whom are living without or with poor access of health, education, social services, and facilities and justice. In order to provide technical support and policy for those victimized, it is first necessary that the states recognize its failures. However, when they state the offender, civil society together with organizations should stand up for the promotion of procedures and mechanisms which help children to access justice. The effectiveness of the Terrorist Act lies not in the act itself, but in the public government through the act. Therefore, the power of civil society should not be undermined. The public should recognize the importance of unity and advocacy for change in moments of devastating tragedies and whenever the asymmetries of the political system lets down their collective trust. There is a need for developing a space and enabling environment that allows the public to engage more actively in governmental affairs, to challenge them, and to transform the nature of the current status quo and potentially trigger long-term social change in their respective countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.